So here I am again, and we're going to continue answering questions that people have posed to me over the last few videos. And this one, I thought that it was interesting the way that it was asked. And this gentleman said, well, can you tell us if there are 3 or 4 bikes that you would be interested in owning if you didn't already own that Tiger 1200? So, I thought that was, again, an interesting idea. So let's dive into it a little bit. Now, of course, given that I'm an old guy, right, and that I like to tour, that's my main focus in riding motorcycles, well, these bikes are going to be geared towards old guys and touring, right? That's just the way it is. So first of all, let's talk about my Tiger 1200 and a couple of reasons that I really like it and a reason that I'm hanging on to it. See, I mean, it's got great power, great torque, all kinds of technology on it that, gives it better brakes and better suspension and, of course, blind spot warning and, all of that stuff, right? But what it really gets down to is a couple of things for me, right? And that is, it has shaft drive, so when I go out there traveling, I don't have to worry about chain maintenance. And also, it has that 8-gallon tank. And yeah, I know you're probably going to be stopping every hour and a half. So, 8 gallons doesn't really make that much difference over a 6-gallon tank, but you would be surprised. Having a 300-mile range really, at least psychologically, is a big deal. At least it has been for me. And of course, any touring bike that you're going to buy needs to be comfortable over the long haul. You might have to make some changes to it. Like on the Tiger, I had to change the bar position, bringing it up and back slightly. And I ended up putting a seat cover on it, again, to give me just a little bit more padding. But you're going to have to do that on just about every bike that you buy. Now, as you know, I have been touting downsizing over the last few years. I went from riding a Victory Vision, goes about 900 pounds, to a BMW K1600 that, surprisingly enough, knocked about 110 pounds off of that weight mark. And then finally, I am now riding my Tiger 1200 that weighs right around 600 pounds. So I've been slowly decreasing the size of my motorcycles. And I now have that Scrambler 400 that I'm just loving. It's just a fun little bike. I really like the lightweight, being able to throw it around and push it around wherever I want it to go. It's a lot of fun. But would I take it on a long tour? Well, I don't know, maybe someday I will try it, right? But I would have to say I would rather be on that big Tiger. Now, while most of the motorcycles that I'm going to talk about here are smaller in stature, mid-size bikes, right? At least here in the United States. Over in Europe, they think we're all crazy. But if I wanted to go touring and cover the distance across the United States, well, there's only really one bike that I'm going to be looking at. And that's this one, the Gold Wing Tour. Right? I may not get that color scheme, but still, that's the bike I would go for. I mean, Honda reliability, smoothness, right, handling, right, you really can't beat this. And it has shaft drive just like my Triumph does. So again, no chain maintenance, no belt to worry about. That's the bike to go with. So even with all that said about the Gold Wing, if I was a solo rider, which I am, right, then I would want something smaller, something easier to handle, something more fun. Right, so here's some bikes that I think I would be looking at. Now, this first bike, I have actually been giving some thought about downsizing again, and that would be to go with this new Triumph Tiger Sport, and particularly the touring model. Now, this bike has been getting great reviews from just about everybody who's had a chance to ride it, right? And for me, even with it decked out in the touring package, right, it still comes in at about 512 pounds, right, which is pretty light for a touring bike. And an 800cc machine with about 100 horsepower, well, that's really more than you really need. I've actually been giving some thought to trading in that Tiger for something like this, again, to downsize. I could cut out not quite 100 pounds, but about 80 or 90 pounds by going to this machine. As I'm putting this video together, I realized I probably should stop here and interject something. And that is why I'm so concerned with the weight of the motorcycle. Well, and that is because the weight does indeed matter, regardless of what some people think. I mean, yes, once you get a bike up to speed and it's going in a straight line, it kind of balances itself and the weight goes away. However, if you're trying to bring that bike to a stop, especially if you're doing it quickly, the weight does matter. If you're trying to negotiate a corner and change direction, well, yes, the weight does indeed matter. A lighter bike is going to respond much more quickly. Right? If you are trying to push the bike around in the garage, of course, the weight matters. Right? If you are trying to maneuver the bike at slow speed, yes, the weight matters. If you're going to try to pick it up off of the ground because you dropped it, because it was so heavy, right, then the weight, of course, matters. Riding a lighter bike means that you will probably have less opportunities to drop the thing, right? The bike is so light, you can catch it pretty easily. If a 900-pound bike gets going, well, you need to just let it go, right? So anyway, weight does matter, especially, again, as we get older, whether we want to admit it or not. The lighter bike is much more easy to handle, and it's a lot more fun. So the price on this bike is about $14,695. So still a reasonable priced bike for that 800cc range. Now, for me, however, the couple of things that I mentioned about the Tiger 1200 are the reasons that are holding me back. That is shaft drive and that big tank. I would have to give those up to move to this bike. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I am thinking about it, but those are hard things to give up. Another bike that I would look at is right in that same kind of size range, 800, 900cc, and that's this one. That is the Yamaha Tracer 9 GT Plus. Right, that's their upgraded touring version with, again, all of the gadgets that you would expect it to have. Right, it is chain drive, just like the Tiger 800 Sport. Now, this, of course, has an 890cc engine, triple, and if any of you have ridden that triple from Yamaha, that 900 triple, well, you know that is just a really amazing engine. In fact, both of these bikes that I've talked about so far, both have triples and both have great engines. The Tracer 9 GT Plus has all kinds of gadgets on it. Radar assisted cruise and blind spot warning and just about everything that you can possibly imagine on it. It's been getting great reviews as well. It doesn't quite handle as well from what I've read as the Sport 800, but it might be a little bit more comfortable over the long haul. But again, that's just up to you. But again, personally, I would want to go out and ride and look at both of these bikes. They are both about the same price point as well. The GT Plus here goes for $16,499. Another bike that you might want to look at is the Honda NT 1100 with DCT. That is their automatic transmission. I know a lot of guys who have gone this way and they just absolutely love that DCT transmission, at least once they get used to it. Now, this particular bike, well, it goes for just under $12,000, but because of that DCT, it is a little heavier, right, and comes in, well, about 550 pounds or so. The next bike right here is from Suzuki. This is a new model and I haven't seen it yet. I'm not sure when it's going to be available, but it is a mouthful of a name. This is the GSX. I had to write this down so I could actually say all this. But anyway, GSX S1000 GX Plus. So they're looking at bringing this bike to market at about $18,600, and it is Suzuki's what they call a crossover bike, really a sport touring bike, right? Adventure style, but a sport touring bike, much like my Tiger. And of course, this bike has all of the gadgets you would expect it to have: electronic suspension, a rider assist module, or Suzuki calls it the SRI, Suzuki Rider Assist. It's an inertial management unit like most of the bikes have, plus a few ride modes, of course. Now, of course, these aren't the only kind of middleweight category motorcycles that you can go out and use for touring, right? Kawasaki has the Versus series, the 650 and 1000, that are both great motorcycles and worth taking a look at. Suzuki has the V-Strom series, right? The 650, the 800, and the 1000 now, I believe it is. And again, all of those bikes are worth taking a look at as well. And before you yell at me, I know there are no cruisers on my list, and well, that's because these are bikes that I would be interested in. Remember, that is what I was asked. What would I look at if I was wanting to get a new motorcycle right now, trading in that Tiger 1200? Well, and these would be a few of the bikes that I would look at. But as I said, there are many, many more out there to choose from. As consumers, we are really lucky right now. There are a lot of great products out there that will fit just about what anybody is looking for. Again, for me, when I'm looking for a new bike, one, I am looking for something that I like and is going to be comfortable for me and is going to do the job. But I also take into consideration the dealer that I'm going to be buying it from. Right? There are some great dealers for all of these bikes, but sometimes they're a long way away. I mean, sometimes I stop and ask, that's a really cool bike, but if I buy it, I got to haul it 2 hours to get it serviced. Yeah, do I really want to do that? So for me, I'm probably going to look at the dealer location, and also, do I have a history with a dealer, right? Like Mom's over here in Foxborough, I have a long history of working with them. They've always been great to me. So that's usually where I go. I'm going to look and find something that they have. So for me, the two bikes that I would really be looking at are that Triumph Tiger 800 Sport and the Yamaha Tracer 9 GT Plus. Those are the two bikes that are on the top of my list, again, for things I might be looking for. But again, if I get either of those bikes, even though they would be lower weight, right, they would be more fun to ride because of that, I still have to now deal with chain maintenance when I travel, and I'm getting a smaller tank. I don't have that 300-mile range anymore. Again, do I want to give those things up? I don't know. Just something to think about. So if you're in the market for a new bike, well, go out and look at as many as you can find, ride as many as you can find, and get the one that fits you best, not the one that fits me best. So keep riding safe, guys, and of course, you know what to do. Keep squeezing your lemon.